Welcome back to Deck Check, where you better check yourself before you deck yourself. We are so excited to have you back for the 15th episode of the Off Meta podcast. I'm Ganesh.
And I'm Samurai Dancer. Today we're eating friends with Silvar and Trynn. Welcome to Off Meta, where the brews that are hot shoot their shot.
In this show, we focus on the fascinating off-meta cEDH decks most people haven't seen yet, like the absolutely wonderful Silvar, Devourer of the Free, and Trynn, Champion of Freedom pairing. Another mouthful again. We'll have a fresh new episode every Friday by 6 p.m. Central Time.
That's funny that you speak of mouthfuls, because I know those things like to eat. Now, It is not responsible for the tournament results of decks and cards mentioned on Off Meta. If there's a brew you'd like us to take a look at, or you'd like to appear in the show itself, let us know in the Discord, in the comments down below.
Yeah, if you like this sort of content, remember to like and subscribe. Maybe send this to your friends. And this week, instead of the news, we have a very fun announcement to make.
We'll be having a free online Pride cEDH tournament on August 10th.
Yes, you can use any combination of two cards that could legally be your commander and partner them together. This includes legendary creatures, backgrounds, and planeswalkers that say can be your commander.
For example, Rograk, Son of Rograk, and Dahada, Binary Wills make quite the pairing. Or you could go a little bit off meta and go with Street Urchin and Tebezat, Doom of Fools.
We'll have about $80 in prize support for the top 4 players. And our Pride-themed prizing is going to be a Sliver Overlord Secret Lair foil. So just
not help yourself with that prizing, sir.
What?
That is a tongue twister.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of hard for me to get through, but it's the Sliver Overlord itself in the Secret Lair foil printing. Then we'll have a Diabolic Intent in the borderless foil printing, a Forbidden Orchard that's just borderless, and a Rainbow Command Tower in borderless foil.
You'll also get a special Discord roll if you make the top 4 or top 10, depending on the cutoff, so try your hardest and fight for pride.
Yes, and without further ado, let's hop into Silvar Trynn. Are you ready to take your cEDH gameplay to the next level? Join my coaching program and learn from a proven champion. With many tournament wins, I offer personalized coaching tailored to your deck and goals. Enjoy ongoing support, gameplay reviews, practice games, and individual or group lessons. Don't just compete, conquer. You can contact me anytime through the Discord link below. Alright, so we're here with Goldsabertooth. So you're probably one of the more known guests we've had on here. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been playing, what you do in the cEDH community, which is a bit different from a lot of our other guests?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for having me on. I actually, what do you say? Long time viewer, first time guest, but you know, the episodes you have put out, I have watched and I've really enjoyed them. And I think, yeah, so I'm a magic artist and I love to do, but not in an official capacity. Like I create art for primarily the cEDH community. And, you know, what started as just a passion project has become my job, my full-time job. Initially, I just, and maybe that's why I'm attracted to the show is I like to be competitive, but I also really like to be creative. So I'm really into off-meta brews. I'm really into off-meta strategies. I still feel like there is room for creative expression within a highly optimized paradigm. So in that creative aspect, one aspect of like creativity or creative expression or customization comes from art making. So in the very beginning, you know, the fact that Magic has, like we were talking earlier off video, or about tracking issues with Nadu, where a problem or an issue in the game is actually a prompt for a creative solution. So like I made these like Nadu trackers that I sold, and I've mailed up 600 of these, you know. So wow. It shows that like perhaps like what was the creative expression was birthed out of a sincere need. Like there was an issue that is difficult to track this new strategy, and there was a creative solution. So, and in the beginning, as I started making art, like especially with the playmats, I played cEDH, but like there wasn't like any kind of like the iconic cards in cEDH are not the cards that Ultra Pro or whomever would choose to put on a playmat, like
Right.
It's a big tell. Most people think that art for ad nauseum is gross, and they wouldn't want that on a playmat. They want like Chandra or something. So, but it doesn't really speak to like the vernacular of our niche format. So I just found so in a lot of ways, I'm an autodidact. I'd really kind of taught myself this whole process, and just working on being responsive to feedback from the community and optimizing my practice and staying busy. I'm busy all the time. So yeah, that's blah, 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 blah.
No, I've definitely been a fan of your art for a while.
Thank you.
And I did pick up some cool stuff from you when we were at Cowtown together, and Samurai also just showed off one of his playmats he's got by you. But let me stand up.
I have to say, I've never bought one of your playmats.
No, he got it the hard way. He got it the hard one way.
Oh, he won an event. Very good.
Yeah.
What my shirt looks like. I'll stand up so there we go. So it's the Nadu summer shirt, and it's very cool. It's even better in person. I don't know if the video is giving it the full justice, but it's a really nice teal color. I love it. Even though I'm not a huge Nadu fan, the shirt's really cool.
I love your art. It's got such like an indie, like comic, like grunge punk look to it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh totally. And I think I was talking to Alan from Mental Misplay about this weekend. We were chopping it up, and I think maybe that's like, for whatever reason, like there's been a really positive response from the cEDH community, and maybe that kind of like outsiderness or that kind of grunginess is like, but also have an intellectual aspect to it too. Is probably somehow it appeals to cEDH because of the nature of the format being like a fan created format within a fan created format. It was like it kind of like lends itself to the kind of more outsider art. Yeah, there it is, the Crumbs, the two-headed boys.
I love it. He's got like the beanie. Actually, is what my favorite part of it is. One's got the beanie, and I was just like, I'm a big beanie fan. I'm bald, so like I always gotta wear a hat. And like I have like so many beanies. And I was like, he's got a beanie. They got like their chains are actually like gold chains.
Yeah. Well, you gotta get the beanie with the because Crom's got two bald heads he needs to cover up. But I always put the hat. Yeah. Oh, he always got a trucker hat. Yeah. We should put an eyeball on the hat. My wife's like, maybe we should make Goldsabertooth beanies, like with just silk screen. You could have like an eyeball stitched into it,
Goldsabertooth eyeball beanie, dude.
Eyeball beanie. Yeah, that's his idea.
That is like, you don't even have to do like silk screening. What you could do is you get patches.
Yeah, do a patch, do a tackle twill, or like just embroidered. I think it would be cool.
Oh,
so if we want to get some of your stuff, like you've got shirts, you've got playmats, you've got tokens. Yep. Where can I and the viewers acquire some of these goods?
Etsy and Patreon, and I'll put over the links. I do a lot of like Patreon drops, custom playmats, and I work with gamer mats now, and they're awesome. So I have the ability by working with them to offer small batch series. I sign them and serialize them. It's as small as runs of 10 or 25, just available to my patrons. And it's been awesome because before it'd be really difficult for people the price would be very expensive to do a kind of a custom print run for that small. But by working with them and producing so many mats, I'm able to make it affordable for people. So it's kind of awesome. Like to pass that on to my patrons. So they come up with some cool ideas. I've got one patron doing helping me design an Atali mat that I'll have available to my patrons, and another patron did a Magda mat that we'll have available. So that's really fun. So that's one thing I really like doing with my patrons. And then the larger run things that I put out, I put on my Etsy. So I did a Kenrith mat, like a Kenrith reanimator, kind of in the style of like the Gravedigger monster truck with all like the reanimation staples coming up out of the graveyard. I did a Krark Sakashima mat, which turned out really nice, and it's really bold with the red and the blue. And that one was nice because I felt like I was kind of anticipating how it would look on stream, and I just wanted to make like something aesthetically interesting, pleasurable, beautiful, strange, funny, but also was actually like had a utilitarian aspect. Like on stream, it would be really bold and easy to recognize, and maybe you could see, if you couldn't read the little thing of who the commander was, maybe you could see the Krark and the Sakashima. So it's something I'm just toying with is like making like these bold play mats that read well from like aerial or from like a pod a view. And then the new one I'm going to do is the Nadu one. So
that's why your mats read so well on camera.
I think about it.
Like you've literally designed them too. Like oh my god. I got for my next logo. Proud.
Yeah, no, it was happy accident. Well, what is it? All shadows point to the sun. So the things that don't work kind of tell us what does work. And certain mats I've done before I thought were good, and they didn't read that well on stream. And I thought like, well, this is one context that I need to account for. So in fact, when I did your Crom mat, came after another mat I liked that looked good on the screen and looked good on the page, but didn't really read that well. The Crom mat, I was like, I really need to like bold up those lines. I need a high contrast. I want Crom to be, in red or yellow or blue, like an electric blue with high contrast, a really black background, kind of frame it in such a way so it looks like some sort of like carnival sideshow. So it kind of has the drawn curtains and the filigree scroll work. I wanted it to be really bold and recognizable from a distance. So I was like thinking that was one of the ones where I really thought about it, because I was like, if the good folks at Playing with Power and my friends at Top Deck are going to go through all the trouble to cast this, I should do my part to make something beautiful that will read well from a distance. So.
And they use those mats, like they use your mats on screen the whole time.
Yeah, it's good advertising. Yeah,
it's really so cool. That's why it's so good that you make them so they read well. I gotta hit you up about a Malcolm Caddis one.
Oh, I'd love to do one, and we could work out a thing too, so you can see like so people know how the process works. Like if there was a commander you wanted to see done, most commanders have an affinity group or like a community of people that really celebrate those commanders. So, for example, like Naystrom reached out to me about doing a Tameshi mat, and he's going in on it with all the other Tameshi guys. And I'm happy to pass my savings with gamer mats onto the people, so they can all crowdsource to get like at the end of the day like a mat for the same price you would pay Ultra Pro or something. You're to buy one in LGS.
We should hit you up for a Malcolm mat.
Yeah, or Malcolm mat. So all the other like Malcolm heads can get together, and it's kind of fun to do that. So, and that's what like with the Magda players, one Papa Squat's kind of spearheaded it, and he wants to make it available to all the other Magda players, and I think that's a really cool way to do it. And I know Ori did that with the Blue Farm mat. He hit up the Blue Farm Discord and was like, "We want 50 of these mats," and they made it happen. And when you do it all together, like it's affordable, and it's that means something to me, because I want the art to be for everyone. The only time it would be really expensive to hire me was if you want to take on the work and use it as a commercial product. So like if you were buying my artwork and licensing it to use it for your sales, that would be more expensive. But if it's a community thing, if you have an affinity group, like a bunch of people really love Blue Farmer, really love Malcolm, and you want to get your friends together, everyone throws in like 40 or $50 and everyone gets one and whatever number they want. It's super fun. And I love that feeling of I love logging on a week later and seeing them show up at people's houses, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I don't know, our Kodama mats are here." I didn't do a Kodama mat, but it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. So why don't we hop into the deck we're looking at today?
oh yes.
So yeah, what are these commanders? If you don't mind reading out their abilities and all
Oh
that,
yeah.
This deck.
and what they actually are.
This is my first cEDH deck. Did I tell you guys that?
No.
No.
This is my first cEDH deck, and this was a passion project. This is about winning and losing, things that work and things that don't. This is called Garfield and Friends. It's a Rector deck. It's a Jim Davis Garfield theme deck. No, it's actually it's partner commanders. This started off as like a creative experiment, a proof of concept. I was talking to some friends about companion, how I was just talking to friends. I was like, I feel like it's objectively correct to play Gigantha or to play, it's not always contextually correct, but it's objectively correct to play a companion before they had the, even before the companion clause, the nerf, because you just start the game with an extra card in your hand. And I think starting the game with the extra card in your hand is positive EV, So
Yeah.
I thought like, yeah, as much as I love I don't know, at the time, like Animar was a powerful commander. I think I said like Paco Halden seems strong, like a strong choice just because you get another card in your hand. And my friends were like, well, why would you want Halden? I was like, I think just having another card in your hand is positive, is successful. Like you're playing a game of Magic, and especially in cEDH, like if you have partner commanders, you start the game with 10 cards in hand, right? If you don't mulligan, that is an advantage to your opponent who mulls to 3, who has a single commander, so they have 4 cards in hand. And I mean, it's just a rhetorical, it's just like a jabbering with your friends thing. But I was like, I just think it's objectively correct to play, partner commanders. And they're like, even like the shittiest ones. And I was like, I think it's better to play Trynn and Silvar than play Kalia. And at the time, like Kalia was like the big dog, like Kalia was like a cEDH commander. That's when like Bad Dog was on a tear. And they were like, no, it's not. Don't play Trynn and Silvar. So I'll read them. Trynn and Silvar are a partner commanders. But what I really like them, they're a partner with. So these were in Battle Bond, and they were in the Ikoria Commander Precon. Are you guys there?
Yes, we're here.
Oh, okay. Your camera went, so you can edit that out. Sorry. So they were the partner with. So that, and from that series we got Ukama and Kazur, which were like the kind of the original bug, not original, but some of the more famous bug food chain commanders, and
Right.
Paco Halden, which was a mid-range deck at a time. A couple years ago, it's kind of fallen out of favor. But this is Trynn and Silvar, and it's a Mardu partner with. And Trynn, Champion of Freedom. She's 3 and a white, or a 3/3, human soldier, legendary creature. She is partnered with Silvar. And at the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, you create a 1/1 human soldier creature token. And it's real. That's some power gaming right there. And then we have Silvar, Devourer of the Free, 3 and Rakdos for a 4/2, partner with Trynn, Champion of Freedom. He has Menace. He's a cat nightmare. The art is fantastic, by the way.
Yes,
And it's our homie Jesper. You can sacrifice a human and put a 1/1 counter on Silvar of the Free, and it gains indestructible until the turn. So there's kind of this morbid connection where she's like this like human who's like feeding her fellow humans to this cat nightmare, which I also think is like kind of funny. So when I was naming the deck, it was at a time when I was really into those like Garfield cartoons, which were those like, you know what I mean? The kind of,
yes,
yeah,
you know
like
what you're talking
manga
about.
horror Garfield.
Yeah, Garfield's like an eldritch being, and he's eating people in the closet or something.
Right. He's gonna like eat Odie or something. So I was like, well, what do you do with like these commanders? And I thought like, well, the obvious thing would be is that like, they're not really value engines in the command zone. On some level, I guess they could be like a beater in the command zone. Silvar could be, I suppose. They're not card advantage, they're not mana advantage, but so I guess they would have to. I wanted to build it as a combo deck. So I said, well, it has some sort of there could be some aristocrats combo potential. So I just really wanted to build early on, like I built this as a stacks deck when stacks were viable, but it was always a Rector deck because you could, with Arena Rector, and which is no longer in the deck, and Academy Rector, you could sack them to Silvar to start your Rector line. And in this case, there are really you can't like pull any like pod shenanigans outside of green with the Rector. So in this case, what I ended up doing was building like like a Mardu enchantment. So you could like sack Rector to like tutor up a breach and shoot off a breach line, or like do some like necro stuff. It was like Mardu Zur or something, like really. And it just goes to show you that like gold fishing is different than playing, and you'd be surprised. Sometimes it was, I played it a lot when I was in Arizona, and sometimes it was like, it would really surprise me because I would feel like I had a really tremendous like politic advantage of being like, I'm playing Trynn and Silvar, like I'm not really doing anything. And I did mean that in earnest. And like the threat assessment from my opponents assessing me as a threat, I was so low priority that like I would slog through, and like the deck did surprisingly well because it really, really flew under the radar. So I kind of thought, it would be a lot worse than it was because, and it also goes to show that like the commanders aren't everything in cEDH. They're a big part of it, but the card quality in general is just so high. And if you're playing with like, 95 cEDH cards, there's not, I'm sure if you put this deck side by side with like Max Pfefferman's Tim Najeska deck from Cowtown Top 16, I bet there's like 20, 25 cards different, maybe even less, maybe 18 cards different, which just goes to show that, cEDH isn't totally a brewer's paradise. There are some like, we do get kind of, what's the word I'm trying to think of? We do kind of get shoehorned into playing certain optimized strategies or optimized cards. Like if you're in white, you're really not, you have to have a really good reason not to play Esper Sentinel, or if you're in red, you have a really good reason not to play Dockside. So and that's okay because you still get to play with all the cards you love. So that's kind of the deck as I built it. And is there anything else you like? I'm here to. It's fun to talk about a deck, like a really weird deck that was like my first cEDH deck. So it's actually super nostalgic to talk about this.
Go ahead.
I think the first thing we would ask in a world of Tymnas and, Dahadas and Dargos, why are you picking Cat and little
creative
there?
Creativity. It's not. Yeah, because it's not about optimization. It's just about personal expression. I just think that like
You mean it's for championshiping freedom?
Yeah. Well, Simra, I would just be honest. It's like, we're not using Chat GPT or an AI to build our decks. Like, like that's the human element. Like, and that's what makes the tournament. That's what makes Magic such a game that we're so attracted to is the variance and the human component and the kind of chaos that inherently brings to the game is what enhances the repeatability of it. Games play out differently because of whim and fancy and mistakes, and the fact that these are being, the game is being conducted not by like chess robots, but by emotional, spiritual, hungry, sleepy, organic organisms, mammals. So what it's about. I would rather play, if I was from a purely objective, spiky standpoint, like I would play another Mardu commander partner pairing. I mean, and then I'm fascinated by Matt Sperling's kind of like thought experiment with a creative prompt with building Mardu, where he took up what were objectively the two best Mardu commanders, which is Tymna and Rograk, and people are like, well, why don't you build Rograk? And he was saying, he called the deck ketchup and ice cream. He's like, just because two things are popular, do they go well together? And he played the deck ketchup and ice cream to the top 4 of Fishbowl, and it turns out, yeah, it is good, even if it's like, you know, there was a bunch of people like what do you call it? armchair cEDH pilots on Twitter telling him he was a goofball for playing it, but he proved him wrong. The card quality is so high that like the objectively two best commanders in their respective colors, in spite of their whatever perceived anti-synergy, are still a viable choice because the card quality is so high. So he took this in the opposite direction, right? I took like the two like objectively probably worst partner pairs in Mardu. You know,
partner pairs in Mardu probably. I was like, oh, you know what? No, you know what? There's Tago, and then there's the there's like Tago, and then there's like the black white.
Tago and Rayhan.
No, it's not Rayhan. It's the 5-drop that you get a creature back to your hand at end of turn.
Ravos.
There we go. That would be objectively the worst.
Oh no, yeah, that has to be.
Ravos.
But I like this idea of I think Mardu, as long as you have some sort of like enabler in the command zone, one of the partners doesn't matter in Mardu. It's like you don't really need the red partner to matter if you have Tymna, but you know, if it does, you don't really need Tymna sometimes. Like Tymna is actively the actual worst of the partners in Mardu most of the time, because it's like you don't really want to gain a lot of value of Tymna because that means you're going super slow.
Well, yeah, totally right. In a weird way, it's like, yeah, okay, Tymna in a Mardu deck, like as somebody who's I played Tymna Dargo, like you're not getting Tymna that much, you know what I mean? You're trying to explode with Dargo, and you're not trying to get rowdy with your Esper Sentinel, you know, like. So
I love it. Oh, thank God, it's just Tymna this turn.
Yeah, it's just Tymna, right? He's not popping up with Dargo. So yeah, so incidentally, a lot of the card choices were humans. You know, there are just happens to be some good humans in these colors. On the off chance you need to feed your nightmare cat with them, but it has a lot of like conventional Mardu win lines. I opted for just to keep on the human theme, and I'd always been playing the Dualcaster. And Dualcaster got an upgrade. You know, that doesn't happen that often. We're like what we would call like an enfranchised legacy combo gets a tune-up, which is cool to see. When you play Mardu, you really get to it's also a good time to play Mardu because like it is I'd say Mardu and Absent are the best removal colors in the format.
Right.
So you really get to feast. Like you get to play a lot of cool removal spells. You get to play Deluge, you get to play Dam. One version of this had like in the day I used to have Delayed Blast Fireball in here, I believe. But you get to play Fire Covenant, which is I know it has like an anti-attention or anti-synergy with Adnaz, but the Fire Covenant is a incredibly
people play it wrong. You only need to kill 2 creatures normally. You don't
need to wipe the board and do everyone's favor. You know what I mean? Like
you don't need to be people's friends here. You can be very select. Oh, but you're targeting me. You damn right.
Yeah. What I like about it is that it's instant speed. That's what attracts me to the card. Not that you can mow everything down, and you get to play some new cool cards. The Static Prison seems like a cool card that I think earlier versions of this deck had. I can go back to history, but I definitely was into Portable Hole, at least in the paper version, and I feel like this is a strict upgrade. I even think I played Fragmentize, so I know this is a strict upgrade to that. And you get to play Touch the Spirit Realm, which is a card I think is a good Mardu card. And you get to play Smothering Tithe, and I think any deck. I think Smothering. I've been a big Smothering Tithe fan. I think it's like one of the best cards in Blue Farm. I certainly believed in it in Tim Nadargo and in Tivit long before it was cool. There was a time in CDH where Smothering Tithe was thought of as a high power card, you know, and now it's become a staple, which I believe, you know, which is I think right on. I mean, the only other card I that's not in this version that I think is in the paper version is like a Spiteful Banditry, which is another card that like it looks trash, but it plays better than it looks, and those are cards I'm interested in because I think a lot of CDH players spend a lot of time gold fishing, and which is I know I do. But cards play out differently, and Spiteful Banditry is one of those cards that I played in like a very proactive non-stacks Blood Pod deck I played, and there were so many games where like it wrathed the board and then paid for itself in a turn cycle, and then just like kept creating treasures along the way, and it became a really interesting and viable card. So. Yeah, there's a lot of options for some cool enchantments in this deck. So,
well, I was going to be a fan because you're running my favorite boy in there in general.
Oh, Yogg? Oh, yeah. I'm a big Yogg stan. I think Yogg is
always going to rep the Yogg.
Who did that?
Shivan Altered.
Excellent.
There is so I commissioned this, and then someone commissioned it Urza after seeing this, and now I have been on like a 4 or 5 year journey trying to find that person randomly in the wild to play against.
Grudge match. I love Yawgmoth. I think Yawgmoth is a very powerful card that is underutilized in CDH. Not every deck can run it, but it's excellent. It's an excellent card. It's board control. It's card advantage. I played it. I still play it in TIAM, and I don't think any other TIAM players play it, and that's fine. It's a matter of taste, but I really like it.
We should probably say what Yawgmoth does.
Oh yeah, Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth 3 Physician is 2 and 2 black. It's a 2/4. It's protection from humans, which is interesting. And if you pay a life and sack another creature, you put a 1/1, put a -1 counter on up to one target creature, and you draw a card. And then the kind of the sleeper text on it is 2 black, discard a card to proliferate.
Text is protection from humans. I had someone trying to deflecting swat that back to him.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I was like, no, that's not valid. First line, stop.
Very cool. A very cool card. Yeah, absolutely love Yogg. Yogg is cool. I think he's protection from humans, so he can't put neg counters on himself or something. But but he blocks Tymna very well. And in modern, there was a time where he blocked Dragon Rage Channelers and all day. So very interesting card. Blocks Soulscar Mage. Super cool card. Underutilized, and that's okay. It's not for every deck. So
stack outlet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I guess we've kind of gone into why to play this deck. It's just something that's unique that you've enjoyed. Instead of a regular Mardu deck, we have a woman feeding her kitty. Basically, people
feeding her country folk to this demon.
This I don't know why she's doing that, but I'm sure she's got.
I just love it. Champion of Freedom Silvar, Devourer of the Free.
Right.
You want to be free.
So good. Hi, I'm
there's
free. Something so morbid about it, Samurai. And funny. It's a great gallows humor.
So let's take a look at your game plan or general strategy with this deck. So I know we talked about how Silvar is a sack outlet, so your game plan is to kind of try to get Academy Rector out and then into Breach or something. But what is your overall strategy with the deck besides that combo?
I mean, well, one strategy is that like I think board control without being it's a mid-range deck. It's board, but it has a great pivot point because it can be really explosive, and you can play board control without being like table police. I think because you don't have card advantage in the command zone and you are not playing blue, you do have to be ready to take your window when you have it. and be ready to go off. And one thing I do like about playing black right now is you can tutor surreptitiously. There's less known information, and I think maybe, I don't know if we talked about this on camera or not, but I think a lot of people have a very low threat assessment, or what is they're not wary of Blue Farm right now for whatever reason. It's an excellent deck, but I feel like a lot of it has to do with a lot of the game actions are taken in secret. There's a lot of drawing. You don't know what's being drawn, and there's a lot of tutoring where it's not revealed. It's not like a Thrasios or a Nadu where it's heads up, so you can't really be. Yeah, and you're in red, so you're not worried about being priority bullied, and you can really accrue a lot of cards. And so you have a lot of like covert tutoring. You have Demonic Tutor, Diabolic Intent, Wish Claw, Imp Seal, Vamp Tutor. Maybe the only one that's really heads up is Tainted Pact. But yeah, so that's kind of like one aspect of this deck that I like is like is that it has a pretty has a pretty explosive guard quality. The cards are not. It's like raw power over synergy. The only synergy is a kind of a micro synergy of being able to sack your Rector, but most of the cards are pretty individually powerful because I don't have a lot of like, I don't have card advantage in the command zone. So
right.
I wanted the card quality to be really high. So hopefully I don't have the mulligan, too low.
Yep, that's the same strat I came up with when I was building Malcolm Ketta's.
Oh, really?
Everything's got to be good because we're not drawing extra cards. We just want to slam these windmills.
Right. So I'm curious about that. So yeah, what kind of estimate, as somebody else who plays like a deck where you don't have card advantage in the command zone, what kind of heuristics or helpful strategies have you come up with for like mulliganing or what have you?
Because I like to play Yu-Gi-Oh, we're going to do 3 points on this. First, you need redundancies. You need multiple cards that do the same thing. For other people, they can get away with 1 or 2 cards. You should probably get up to 3 cards that do the same thing. Because if you draw any of those, it's great. If you draw multiple of them, that's even better because people will counter them. So it's like it's better than even getting into a counter wall to be like, yeah, counter that. Oh, okay, play it again. Play another one. I'll counter that. I'll play the other one. You had 3, of course. Like
right.
And then so that's point 1 is to run redundancies. Point 2 is your card advantage has to be much better than your opponent's. So you can't run 1-for-1 cards. You got to run 1-for-2, 1-for-3 cards. So that's why, like, I love Wheels of Fortune. Like, first turn wheel is one of the best feelings in the world if you don't have card advantage in the command zone. It allows you to keep an aggressive mulligan. Like, people that have card advantage in the command zone, they just need lands. So they kind of go like, I just need lands because I'll eventually get there with my commanders. You can't do that. So you're running like wills. You run the Jessica's will, obviously. But some people don't run that. I'm like, no. If you don't have card advantage in the command zone, you need those extra 3 cards. You need that extra 7 mana on turn 1. I actually like to run extra turns when I don't have card advantage in the command zone because that matters. Yeah, I like to run like multiples of those, but I can get away with it because one of them is a free extra turn with Gambits, Alchemist Gambit. Like, my commanders make mana, so I can get away with paying 7 for an extra turn.
Sure.
Now, you also you run multiple enablers for your combos. Like, there's redundancies, which is the same card. There's better card advantage. Like, you can't get away with those 1-for-1.
I think Samurai was banished to the Shadow Realm right there.
Shadow Realm, yeah, I think so too. He's got 2 fingers up.
Yeah, he's gonna stay like that for a second. I'll turn him off. That's okay. We can keep going. I'm sure he'll come back in a second or 2.
I agree with what he's saying, though. He's got an excellent point.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, you're back. You said you froze on your second tenant. What was the third? I think he froze again.
Oh, man, he's gone again. It's okay. We'll circle back to it. We'll figure it out. Anyway, so how does your deck actually combo / win?
How does it win? Oh, yeah, it's a breach deck. I would like to, breach grinding station and then wheel my opponents. As wheel fortune and underworld breach is probably the primary win. And then I guess like commander beats, I suppose. One thing that's nice about this deck is like with cards like Dam, you can give your commander indestructible and live through a dam, which is kind of interesting. It's pretty cool. And then the 2-card combo in these colors is the dual caster, molten duplication, or dual caster, twin flame, yeah. And they're in the paper version of this deck. I don't know what I must be missing in this one, but the paper version I do run Mayhem Devil as well, because even if you go post combat and make the dual caster post combat, they'll sack at the end of the turn, and with those pings you can kill everybody.
Right. You have an infinite,
which does happen, So
yeah,
having an aristocrat's effect.
Yeah,
I was wondering why you weren't on Mayhem. So why you weren't on what is it, Technomancer?
Well, yeah, I've never played Ruthless Technomancer in this deck. I do play Ruthless Technomancer in Dargo. There probably are some cool lines with it. I'm not playing it in this one, but there's no reason not to. I am on, in paper, I think I am also on like Mayhem Devil and Cursemere, but I don't recall what. It might even be like a Signet and something else, or a land that I have different. So I'm sure if I brought this to a tournament instead of just messing around with my friends, I would have a chance to get this straight. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at currently in the brewing process. And again, there are some I'm sure as you look, there's some, glaring omissions and inconsistencies or things that don't seem totally fine-tuned. And I think some of that real kind of like rigorous tuning comes from playing, and because the nature of the deck is more the nature of the creative process is more lighthearted, it hasn't been subjected to the same kind of like Crucible-esque rigor as some of my other decks that actually like that I would bring to a top deck event. I mean, I really, this is a kind of for me, a LobbyCon deck. And I maybe I should bring it to the, you know what? If either of you will be at Invitational, I'll bring this deck in paper to Invitational so we can play.
I think Ganesh will make it to Invitational. I think Ganesh is, 77? What's your rank now?
53 or something after
qualified. That's the rank.
Well, no,
Nice.
I don't know actually, because there's like a few more gold events coming up. So if people win enough
you
of
just
those,
gotta go by your points versus their.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on who wins and like how many. Because because it's cutting off, I've heard that it was cutting off at top 60. So if 7 people manage to rack up enough points, I won't be in the Invitational, which kind of sucks because I won the silver event at OKC. But,
nice.
Yeah, I won the duel for duels at OKC, which basically was what was giving me the majority of my points. But then I also won the 1K there. But there was a problem with the registration. So they had to add me manually, but they didn't add my top deck account.
What?
I mean, it's just top deck's policies. I understand, like, they don't want to spend hours and hours, like, fixing everyone's things. But it does mean I don't actually get my top deck points for winning that event. Which could be significant. It could also be the reason I don't get into the Invitational, even though I should. But we'll see.
You got 35 points between you and position 60.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Well, you know what, though? You will just have to see if you can squeeze in one event this month. I'm doing a gold event in Buffalo, and I'm going to be going to the Fishbowl. So I'm going to try to get some more points. I think I'm in like, I don't know. I'm definitely between 50 and 60. I have 445 points right now.
Nice. I don't know how many I have, but it's kind of hard to find.
You have 455 points. No, you have 490 points.
I do? Okay.
Ganesh does? Nice.
Yeah. 61st place has 455 points. And 62nd has 450. And 61st is tied all the way up to 57. So there's a 5-person at 455. So more likely, Ganesh, you're probably going to just squeak in. There are 3 tournaments that are last chance qualifiers happening on July 27th.
Cool.
So
Are any of them in Texas?
let me see. But let me see. Actually, I was looking up that events near you, upcoming events.
One of the other problems with Texas is like we'll have shops that like want to be gold events, and like there's sort of a player base there to support it, but the one most likely to have a gold event, Crimson Lion, I'm not sure, and don't like rag on me in the comments for this if I get this wrong, but I'm not 100% sure if they have enough seating for 64 players. They're close. I've seen it fill up at like about 58. I think maybe they could squeeze everybody in there. I don't know.
Sure.
There is Dragon's Horde at Dragon's Lair in Houston.
When is that?
I'm looking to see. First place $1,500.
Wow.
At 128 entries, 500 at 64, 300 at 32. But it is not. There is no tier events. There's no qualifiers in Texas.
I'll just have to hope. It's all good.
I think there's only 3 qualifying tournaments, anyways, left.
Okay, so just fingers crossed. Oh, so if there's only 3 left, how many points do you get for a top 16 in a gold event?
I'm not sure.
You get like 250.
250 points for top 16 in a gold event?
Yeah, staining. I thought you said for winning it. It's 250 if you win it, because I know it's the same as an Emerald.
Yeah, how many for top 16?
I work for Chaos, so I understand these numbers pretty good. If you were to top 16 a gold event, you'd get 85 points, but if you top 32 it, you get 25. So you should definitely look for a gold event, Ganesh.
Yeah, if you win a gold event, you get 275. Yep.
55, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very likely.
I remember it was like super comparable.
I'm probably going to get punted out of top 60, but it's okay. We'll worry about it.
Oh, Sabertooth, you should enter in the Chaos Emerald event on the 27th, on the 23rd, 20th,
I'd love on the 20th. I made the finals of a Chaos event, and I thought it was going to be Emerald, but it wasn't, so I was bummed.
Yeah, we should just get everybody else and enter that, because if we get it to Emerald, it's basically a gold event.
Well, I'll put it on the. I'll sweeten the deal. I will. I'll throw up a Goldsabertooth playmat to the winner. I'll try to think of something really good. I'll dig something up for my vault. Maybe I've got one of the old Blue Farm mats left or something. I'll try to make the deal. Krog number 100 or something. I'll see if I got something.
Now I gotta play.
Now you got.
I was like, damn it. Let's see. If I go again. Like mapping it out again. I'm like, what do I play? We'll play Toy Maker. We'll ruin everybody's day. We'll play Spoiler.
All right. Getting back to the old cat. What does your deck do in the early game? What are you trying to go for here?
Yeah, I mean, again, we don't have mana advantage of the command zone either. So decks, hands that I like a hand that has like an early Esper Sentinel for card advantage, or an early mana advantage like a crypt hands, and that can mana that can parlay into some sort of card advantage, like a hand that has like a turn 1 Soul Ring that can allow me to play like a turn 2 One Ring. Those are hands I want to keep. Again, I don't really. I want to balance. I'm sure Samurai feels the same way with Malcolm Kedis. Like I want a balanced hand. I can't expect the top of my deck to solve the problems. So mulliganing is more critical in a deck that doesn't have card or mana advantage in the command zone, because your game plan, there needs to be some sort of, for me at least, some sort of roadmap for a game plan in the opening hand, which is why I really like watching Mons' content. Mons and Pontus, they really focus on the mulliganing and the opening hands, which is a really critical part of cEDH. And I think that it's a really high level skill to develop, is like disciplined and effective and thoughtful mulliganing. So
I have
what's the difference between tournament players winning and tournament players playing? Is mulligans.
I agree with you. I totally agree. So I think so it's no wonder that you won the Mox Master Invitational because your deck has probably forced you to become a very disciplined mulliganer. Am I right, Samurai?
I literally in the semifinals, top 16, mulled down to 4 because I knew that those other hands wouldn't get there, and I literally was like, okay, in this hand I have a turn 2 Malcolm. I have 4 mana. I have a Mox. No, I had 3 mana and a Glinthorn, and I was like, this will be a turn 3 Malcolm, turn 4 Glinthorn. If I draw any ramp, this is a turn 3 Glinthorn. That is perfectly fine. I assume these guys kept greedy hands because this is Bloom Farm that he kept his first 7. LJ kept his 6. And I think the Max that I was playing with, who is the Judge Max,
Molinari.
kept a 6 as well. So I was like, so I think they're keeping relatively low interaction hands. I think they're all looking at like high advantage hands. And I was like, and I think if I just get it, I get it. And I was like, and I did. It was like 1,
Absolutely.
2, 3. It was the funniest thing ever watching LJ and Max look at each other going like, Blue Farm player that kept a 7. Blue Farm player with the 7's like, I kept like a turn 4 like breach line. It's just like, oh,
you gotta be ready for the Blue Farm players though. We got Ganesh here. We got Ganesh here.
There was a game
and
I was
Max
playing.
Molinari kept a hand with a he had a mind break trap. So he was like,
there was a game I was playing in Crimson Lion a month ago, which is like one of our local shops in Fort Worth. And it was a top 16 match. I kept a mull to 3, and I won that game.
Way to go! Way to go!
Yeah, it was. I was going first because I had done well in the Swiss, and I was just getting horrible mulligans. So I finally stopped at 3, and the mulligan was Land, Mana Vault, and Demonic Tutor.
Land, Mana Vault, and Demonic Tutor. Yeah, and Blue Farm, I would have kept that too. That's good.
I went turn 1 Vault.
oh my gosh.
Turn 2 top deck a land that happened to have a black source in it, and to cast D-Tutor. Well, my first land had a black source in it too, but I needed both of them. And then turn 3 jam Adnaz. Just get it resolved. And
you love to see it.
My God.
I won. Anyway, yeah. So
you can keep a hand with 6 lands in Blue Farm and win.
That's I don't know about nowadays, but it used to be true.
No, I literally did that. It was my bad. It was 5 lands and a Mox and a Crow Mox.
Okay, yeah, that
with an Esper Sentinel.
You can do that. Yeah, that's I can see that.
Our game.
So like that. Yeah. So I guess early games, much like myself, you have to mull because Lord knows you're not the top of you're only getting 1 guaranteed card a turn. So and your commanders are on the heavy side, so it's like you need mana ramp and you need a card advantage engine. But the good news is you have your enabler in your command zone at all points in time. So it's like as long as you get mana and card advantage, any one of those works. And because you're in black and red, your tutors and white, like you're in Mardu, your tutors are godly.
Best tutors. Yeah, that's the real weak. Someone who loves Teamer, the tutors in Teamer are bad. I mean, for what I want to do,
Oh my God, Blue's tutors are trash.
If Teamer Dargo could tutor enchantments, I mean, we'd be to the moon by now. But yeah, and the great part is like when you have commanders that are just like a combo piece, like and are not the only combo piece. They're just they're kind of suboptimal. You're really agnostic to like Draneth or anything like that because you're inherently commander agnostic. So
right.
I have the worst combo piece. My commander is the worst combo piece. So if you're worried about that, I got some bad news. That was the combo piece you wanted me to play.
Right.
So your mid game, so your early game, you get an advantage engine, or you get enough mana to ramp into your advantage engines. Your mid game, where you're starting to control the board. Like, what are you mostly like tutoring up? What are you building? Like,
yeah, again, I guess I just really, what is it? The art of war, act weak when you're really strong. I mean, I would like to, just kind of fly under the radar, I guess, and set up. And, again, you're not going to be able to, you only have a few cards that can interact meaningfully on the stack during someone else's win attempt. So, but you have a lot of ways in white with silence effects to protect your own. So I think that just like, yeah, just I'm not too concerned about looking like the threat. Inherently, you don't look like the threat. And then just having a really, just being really concise, definitive, and like efficient when you pick your window. I think it in Mardu pretty easy to not easy. It can be done effectively. Protecting your window when you choose it. We were in a game at Cowtown where a player who was seemingly behind all game playing Tim Dargo was able to just like drop the ranger, pop the ranger captain, and then had the molten duplication with the targeted his Esper Sentinel with the molten duplication, cast the Dualcaster Mage, and we're cooked. That was it. It didn't matter how many cards. Didn't matter how many cards the blue farm player had. It didn't matter. Didn't matter how many times the Kinnan player spin Kinnan. It was not like we were cooked. So that's one nice thing about Mardu is that because you have white for the silence effects, you don't have to like fill your hand with spells to protect your win attempt. You just have redundancy of an effect that's highly efficient.
Right. Okay. So I imagine this is a deck that's more focused on the early and mid game. If you get to the late game where you're against like Sisei spinning, Kinnan flipping, blue farm drawing, like a lot of these like a bit more late game focused deck, you can start to run into trouble.
Sure, but we do run we'd run a ton of removal. I don't know how many. If I'm on, my paper list does have I think 3 sweepers. I am running a single target removal. It's quite a bit in these colors. You've got Bowmasters, which is pretty good in a sloggy matchup. You have you're running Deluge, Dam, and then the other board wipe, the Spiteful Banditry, and then single target removal that we got a lot, Swords, Path. I'm on Deadly Rollick, the Fire Covenant, the Static Prison, even channeling Touch of Spirit Realm. There's a lot of removal in this deck. So that's one thing I do like is I do feel that like, yeah, if you get into these late game situations, like you can really, I don't know, you can really send them back to the Stone Age in a meaningful way. So,
yeah, for sure. I've used Fire Covenant to great effect before. It's such a good card.
Right, and with our efficient tutors, that's the nice part is that like I think years ago someone said that like trying to play stacks or control without black is like a losing proposition because you won't always have the right answer if you don't have efficient tutors. You won't always have the right answer for the current problem, the solution for the current problem. But black tutors really solve that. So that's one thing that's really kind of special about black is that like you do always have the right answer at the right time. If you can tutor.
What would you say are this deck's strength?
Its strength, definitely. I mean, definitely, it's like it does not raise any hackles. It does not. I would say it definitely Brewer's advantage, sliding under the radar. I guess that's true for most of the decks on this show. And one of the real advantages of the deck, I would say, is whereas blue is really good for clones right now, I think that like Mardu and black in general are really good at reanimating. It's cool to play sweepers, but also be on animate, dead, and reanimate. And I think on one version I was on necromancy. So running abilities to, it's one thing to copy somebody's dockside. It's another, but you do have an access step by reanimating a dockside, and in this way, you have ways to kill things and snipe them out of the graveyard, which I think is pretty cool.
It's always fun, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question.
Yo, what up?
Like, I'm like looking at this deck, like it's Mardu's, and Mardu's pretty known for this. Next question: what's its weaknesses?
You're gonna be really unpopular when somebody like, when the wrong side player pops off and they necro-born and you just sit there and you're like, I'm a Mardu. They're like, you are a sitting duck. I mean, like, yeah, if they're going to Thoracle Console, like, yeah, like, good luck pointing your red blast at my demonic constellation. Like, you're really cooked. It's the one time, like, it's like silence or bust. Using a defensive silence is like one of the only things you got. You don't really have those kind of when I play Thrasios, I have a lot of counter spells that seem suboptimal, but it's all about getting it back to your turn. That's why I do like Flare of Denial. And maybe I should be on the red flare. I honestly haven't thought about it too much. I don't have like so many red creatures that I can stack to it. But in blue decks, I do like Force of Nag, and I do like Flare of Denial, because sometimes you really just need to make it back to your turn. And I feel like there's some aspect of helplessness, even with your Esper Sentinel drawing you a couple charges per cycle. Like, your ability to act meaningfully on the stack is woeful. So that's the biggest stack interaction is the biggest weakness of Mardu. I say it's best to like play dead until you're ready to pop off is like probably the best advice. Play dead. Don't look like a threat. Play your derpy ass commander, even if you really want to look unthreatening, and then it's like then really just like it's like the record skipping is like putting that abolisher on the stack. That's what you got to do.
I love these counter wars where people like look at the Mardu deck, they look at the like Naya deck, and it's like, what do you want from me? What do you want? Why are you guys waiting for me on this battle? Yeah. And then it's like you wait till the end of the battle, you're like silence, and they're like, I knew it.
It's classic tie-in. That's where you usually go, I'm an Abzan, and then like when you're about to get cooked by the breach, you're like cast the endurance and then still lose.
That is a meme.
There, and then you get the ranger happen off the top and you reanimate it, and then it's like, oh, great.
Sage you, and then you still lose.
Yeah.
So many people, I'll tell you the worst thing is Tyam will say, I have nothing. And they're waiting. They'll be like, okay, now I'll get game real quick. And it's I knew it.
Well, I do think this plays a lot like Tyam in that way. I mean, I really do. It's like, you really do have to like deflect and just like, and it's in a way, it's like, it is like, I mean, it's sincere priority bullying. Like, problems will arise in the game, and you don't have the ability to solve them, so you're not expecting.
Not their solution.
You're not expecting to expend resources because you can't. So you cannot.
You are not the solution.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I think if you can play a deck that can hang around and then pick your moment, if that's the kind of play style you like, I would say play this deck. And again, more than anything, when cEDH now, I feel, is that like games are less about your commanders and more about execution of win cons and thinking about what kind of win cons you are comfortable doing. I do like, I like breach lines. I feel comfortable doing aristocrat stuff. That's my comfort zone. So that's like a way I'm comfortable winning. So I feel comfortable executing that in this deck. So
I love this deck. I wonder why no Brute Horde sometimes. And then I'm like, well, your rest of your deck's kind of expensive to begin with. Running Brute Horde with Sonhaft just adds more cards.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I just don't think that I have like that much utility for Burnt Offering and Sacrifice in the deck. Other than that, I think decks that I like them, and I like Broodlord and Dargo decks because you have like some more utility for your Sacrifice and your Burnt Offering outside of the combo. Right. So that's it. I mean, other than that, if I had Dargo, I would definitely be on Broodlord.
Yeah, I like Brood Horde. I like Broodlord when like you can actually do more than just like peer into the abyss with it. It's like,
sure.
Like with this deck, the reason why I think about it is because I know that I love it in Rog Tevish because I rarely do the Brood Horde line with Peer. It's normally Brood Horde, Underworld Breach, Burn Offering.
Yeah, and it's funny you say it. Exactly. Like sometimes just like, that's a great way to like ignore the stack is to like sack a Rector because we put the Rector and they'd be like, what is, they know Rector is the combo piece, but they don't know what the combo is. And, and then it's a real juke to like sack a Rector and have a breach in play all of a sudden. It's pretty wild. So wild stuff.
I love Rector because people haven't seen that thing in cEDH for so long that they kind of go like, okay, what are good enchantments? I guess he's getting a Necro, and it's like,
yeah,
Breach, or as my friend Jacoby did, Lich's Mastery.
Very cool.
It's like that moment of, wait, what?
Very cool. Yeah, Lich's Mastery.
These are cards?
Very cool.
So, like, typical Mardu, the problem is Mardu problems. Obviously, this gets hit by every Stax piece in the world because that's what Mardu suffers from. But hey, at least Dread, it doesn't matter.
Stacks are not popular right now, and you don't need your dockside to win in this deck. So Stacks are not very popular right now. So
I think the best thing for Mardu ever was Chthonian Nightmare.
Like, I have Chthonian Nightmare in here, and I'm excited to try it out. I don't have an outlet for infinite mana in my command zone, but I think it's actually just the fail case of it is just like it's an effective card. So
I'm going fishing your deck right now, and like 3 times Chthonian Nightmare just gets there because it's an infinite enabler with the little 1-drop that surveils.
Great Chandler?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because
isn't that cool?
It's like, oh look, you can just mill your whole deck, make infinite treasures. You run Savines.
Yeah, you do run Savines, and you're trying to do Savines back the breach. It's really sweet.
It's like, and eventually, even without the Savines, you'll just get an Orcish Bowmaster, and then you can just swap Dragon Rage into that.
Yeah. Bowmaster's Bowmaster loops is another thing that's been really kind of amazing for as a finisher, because a lot of the times the finisher and a lot of these sacrifice loops were pretty clunky cards, but Bowmasters is an excellent card, that doubles as like, in Abzan, 1 infinite mana outlet in Tayam was a meal and Bowmasters, which is just an awesome combo. Because both cards are good.
For the really quick, for those that aren't familiar, Savine's Reclamation is 3 mana, so 2 and a white for a sorcery. Return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If it was cast from a graveyard, you may copy the spell and choose a new target for the copy. And then it's got flashback for 4 and a white. So you mill your whole library or as much as you want of it. You'll cast the beans from the graveyard for its flashback cost. You'll target Breach and then probably like Lion's Eye Diamond or something. And then you're off to the races.
Yep, you do have lines.
The deck is just busted. Just a fundamental like improvement.
You heard it here.
Just like, I should just play like, I'm not gonna play this because I'm gonna be entering Mox Masters with the not Mox Masters. I'm gonna be entering Chaos with the intention to win because I want that mat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Here first, folks. I will be donating a mat to
the next Chaos. But like this deck just shows me Mardu's in a ridiculously strong place, folks. Like, Max didn't like top 16 this last weekend for no reason. He didn't top 16 the Cowtown. My bad. This video is coming out in 2 weeks from Cowtown. So just so you guys know, this video, Max top 16 with Jessica Timna, and looking at your deck, I think Mardu can just top 16 with a ham sandwich right now. It has all the good cards. Nothing's been hit. Like, counter spells haven't really changed. No new ones, really.
That's true. Like, you've only gotten stuff. You've got Molten Influence. You've got, Molten Duplication. You've got Chthonian Nightmare. You got Static Prison. It's pretty cool. It got a lot of cool stuff. So Mardu's been eating good, as they say. So and maybe that goes back to the main point that we started the video with, and maybe it's a good place to wrap up, is that like we put a lot of stock in when we see the top 16s of looking who the commander is, but we should really look into the 99 because the card quality is very high in this format, and it just goes to show when the cards are this powerful, when you are playing at the highest level, there is still room for creativity, and maybe that comes in the form of choosing an off-meta commander, and it could pay dividends in terms of like how you're perceived in your pod, and like, because at the end of the day, this is a social game, and you have way more social currency if you show up with two goofy ass commanders, the champion of the free, feeding the free to her cat, man. If you bring up like an Eldritch Horror Garfield deck to the pod, you're not gonna you'll let's just say you will get away with a lot. And I hope to do it. I'll see if I'm the next, but we'll see if by the time this video airs, if I have the stones to bring this to a tournament and play it. I haven't played this since a tournament in Flagstaff maybe 2 years ago. So, but thanks guys, thanks for having me on. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, this podcast is a lot of fun in general.
It is. It's fun to chat with you guys. I really appreciate you hitting me up. It's so fun.
We get to meet so many cool people. That's like the best part of it for me. I don't know if you've met Dracomancer. I don't know if you played with him. He was the one on Zergo Ochitai.
He was playing against Bosch.
Oh, you did?
He was playing against Bosch in the feature match, where they lost.
I met him. I drew two dragon little artist proofs of two robotic dragons for him this last weekend. So I love that deck, and I love that video. I saw that whole video. So yeah.
Yeah, I met him through this, like off meta, like the podcast
awesome.
channel, and I stayed with him for Cowtown. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, dude, that's the absolute best. See, and that's the thing too, is that like, the community's been through some stuff, but at the end of the day, like, it's not just the nature of the competitive nature of the game or anything else. Then the people we're meeting in this, it's like every time I go to one of these top deck events, I feel like I'm like, I don't know, I like some great reunion. I'm seeing a lot of people I love to see every time. So it's something I really look forward to. It's a highlight of my month, or the highlight of the season every time I go to one. So I love it.
I'm meeting a lot of new people at these events. LobbyCon is the best con. I met Dracomancer at Punt City, and I said, "Hey, I saw him when I go to these events, because we have this podcast. I literally start scoping out tables when I finish my match, and I start I tap people. Hey, give me your info. Hey, give me your info." And I'm
you're leering up, peeping on pods to find the weirdest shit, and you're like, "Have I got the podcast for you?"
I'm leaving. If I look over and I see them win, then I tap them. If I see them lose, I'm just like, oh, maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
But I tapped him, and I played a couple of games with him and his friends. I never met them till that event, and it was just like super cool guys, so much fun.
Yeah, I had a good time.
We had so many fun games. Oh man, I forced a draw through a smothering tide. It was the best. I was like, I'm gonna wheel, guys. I'm just gonna chew up the clock. We should take a draw because I'm literally going to try for a win. But if you guys accept the draw, I'll stop my win attempt right here, and we can all go and get a soda. And it's like, no, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go wheel. We're gonna go time twister.
I do love to see it.
Like, we still didn't get the win. I'm gonna try to put a Glenhorn. It gets countered. Okay, I'm gonna try to put a breach. It gets countered. Okay, I'm gonna play Cyclonic Rift. Everybody loses everything. Blue Farm, your turn. Blue Farm player was just like, I have 2 lands. It was the funniest thing ever. He was just like, I have 2 lands. I'd like to propose to draw.
Oh, God, okay.
I was like, I'll take it. That absolute moment of, no one wants to play out this game I just reset.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on, though. Thank you.
Yeah. Got a couple of more questions if you have to.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. I'm a married Sabertooth, so I know my wife is. She's like, we got to eat dinner soon, so that's all.
There's just 2 more, I promise.
Yeah, no problem.
So the only thing we've got left is, what are some tips you'd like to give new players?
Okay.
I guess 3 actually. Tips for new players, overlooked or underrated cards. If you want to give out any shout outs, you can do it there too. And then we have our spicy scale.
No problem. So yeah, tips for new players, playing like a Mardu deck, especially playing an off meta Mardu deck. I guess I would just, maybe give a nod back to what Samurai said about being a disciplined mulliganer would be one thing. And being honest about being honest with yourself about the strengths and weaknesses of your deck. So as a new player, just recognize that you don't need to play your commanders for value. in the game. You could only you can be patient with your commanders, given the fact that only one of your commanders is a combo piece. So that's something I saw from even like Shawnee sometimes when he plays Rog Thras. Like he doesn't always just run out the Thras. I'm sorry, the Rog. He waits till he's got the cradle out or something. And I think that's good magic, patient magic. It's not always worth it just to like what sort of free interaction you're turning on with like a Trynn out. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, like what is the real bluff there? Turning on deflecting SWAT, but I think like outside of blue, it's not really the most effective use of your mana or your position in the game. Overlooked cards. We spoke about Yawgmoth. I think Yawgmoth is overlooked, but one card I would say is overlooked lately is Imperial Recruiter and Recruiter of the Guard. I think both. I think tutor effects that ignore or are ambivalent to the most common forms of interaction that are being played right now are really effective. You don't have we've already said that a major weakness of the deck is its ability to interact on the stack. So jamming creature-based tutors and creature-based win cons is really effective because you've got Force of Will, you've got Pact, you've got Mind Break Trap. There's very few things that hard counter Strict Serenade, yeah, but you have very few, you know, and now everyone's gonna fire off a Strict Serenade at like a Recruiter of the Guard. You know, it's just like
these are play aroundable.
Yeah, totally. And then they might even say, "Oh, I'll counter whatever he gets." But I do think that having creature-based win cons and creature-based tutors, it's just it puts you in a well-positioned space in the meta. It's something I play when I'm playing Nadu. It's something I do when I'm playing Rog Thras. I think that the deck is at its best when it is presenting threats, presenting win cons, presenting problems for the table that are hard to interact with. Like Grand Abolisher is such a blood-curdling card because it's hard to interact with the stack, and it really sets off all the alarms, you know? So that's what I would say. And then just shout out to you guys for having me on the show. I love what both of you do for the community. I like the Deck Tech channel. I like the off meta brews. I've had fun meeting you at Cowtown, Ganesh, and I had fun playing with in Atlanta with Samurai. I think I'm even going to tie him at the time.
Whooped
I cooked you on Tyam, I think.
Ass. You weren't on Tyam. You were on Marduk. You whooped.
No, I was on Bloodpot. I was on Bloodpot.
Were you on Bloodpat? I could have sworn you were on like some strange Marduk. You know what? It's because you won with
too. Yeah, I might have been. Yeah, maybe
you won with Magda. You won with the Magda, sir. I think you were on Dehada.
Yeah, I'm a real non-blue psychopath sometimes. But so yeah, we had a good vibe though. The vibe was immaculate.
Very, very, very last thing we've got for you.
Yeah.
Really quick is the spicy scale. Yes, very, very, very scientific here. So we've got our spicy scale. It goes from 0 to 3 million Scoville units. Where would you put your deck, Trynn and Silvar, on the spicy scale?
Oh, it's like this is like, you know, Carolina Reaper. This is spicy as it gets because it's so weird. You know, you gotta. I mean, like the card choices are. It's not like you're playing, you know, Orvar or something where you're playing a lot of unique commander-centric cards. But like the commanders are so. The commanders being like at the masthead of the deck are so weird and so unique and like so head scratching. It's almost like when someone shows up with like a weird background commander, you know, like no one even knows these cards exist. They're totally strange. And it's funny because they're from a very popular set. You know, we got some of the coolest cards that we got Kinnan out of this set and other excellent cards. But when it comes to off meta, like this is I think it's extremely spicy because it doesn't have the raw power of blue. It's sans blue and totally weird. So I'd say it's like, Yeah, this is like the Cambodian hot sauce you get that you put on your your taro fritter, and it it has your mouth go numb. You have like a bout of palsy because it's so hot. So that's what I would say it is.
What do you think, Samurai? How do you rate this?
Oh yeah, this is from one of the best precon sets ever that gave us Fierce Guardianship, Deflecting SWAT,
Yeah.
Deadly Rollick. I bought this deck. I played these commanders with Yawgmoth. That's why I was like, eh.
Yo.
I called it Humans Eating Humans. My first deck to run Grand Abolisher and Ranger Captain of Eos because they were humans. I'd say okay, so the outer this is like a popper. Like you've ever had like a jalapeno popper, but it's like a Carolina Reaper popper because the outside, hottest pepper ever, inside cream cheese.
Yeah, you've seen all these before.
Yeah, so I think it's more like a habanero chocolate, just because of that cream cheese. Carolina
I agree with
popper.
that one. Yeah, cool. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. Thank you very much for showing up.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just hit me up on if anybody would like to like some of my art or like to talk to me about a project, just message me on Twitter, hit me up on my Patreon or my Etsy shop, Goldsabertooth. And been busy after Cowtown, but by the time this video drops, I should be settling in and have plenty of time to be there for anyone who needs me. So thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
Peace.